that shape our lives and dissect the issues that keep us awake at night. That's not all. The Morning Crossfire is your platform too. Your thoughts, your opinions, they all have a place right here. From politics to business and the economy, from the social issues to the heart of the city. I'll be your companion, your source of information, and your partner in exploration. And it's just not about headlines. It's about the conversations we have, the connections we make, and the impact we create. Your insights matter, your questions matter, and your energy matters. So whether you're in traffic, having breakfast, or starting your workday, I'll be right here, keeping you informed and engaged. So Lagos, stay tuned, set your alarms, and mark your calendars, and let's kickstart our mornings together, right here on the Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info and Kofi Bartels. Let's talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, Lagos, welcome back. Let's continue with Morning Crossfire. Of course, our conversation right here. We're looking at Nigeria's constitutional review. There are certain aspects of this that already we know about. Certain bills that have been sent to the National Assembly. The House of Reps and the Senate, as usual, they are having their zonal public hearings. I think the last one they had should have been in 2021. Yes, should have been 2021, I think so. I attended the zonal public hearing in Port Harcourt, and I was a bit disappointed at the turnout because I felt it was a bigger, it was a big issue that deserved more attention from the people. However, groups came from different states across a zone which the Port Harcourt Center represented at the time, and they submitted their memoranda to the committee there. However, there are bills that are already before the National Assembly, memoranda that were passed, in the previous zonal public hearing, and that was presented rather. So all these things are there, and we'll try to understand exactly what is going on. We have a guest joining us already on the line. He's a chief, but also he is a lawyer and expert in the Nigerian Constitution. Good morning to you, Chief Festus Ogwuche. Good to have you on the program today.
Yes, good morning, Kofi. Morning, how is it?
Oh, very well, thank you. I trust you're doing well. You're reaching us from Port Harcourt. What is the atmosphere in PH like today, sir?
Well, it's been calm, as it always has been. People are very much apprehensive of the next thing that will happen, the feud between the governor, the executive governor, Wiki, and the administrator. We don't know the next thing that will happen. All of us are here having bated breaths on what will take over, how things will pan out in a couple of days ahead. We understand there's been a reconciliation. The content of that reconciliation, the template, we've not seen, and we are yet to even be informed. And I think it's something that should involve the citizenry. But we are here with our hands crossed, our fingers crossed, looking forward to what will come up next.
Well, would you agree that peace is priceless, better than continued fighting for some weeks, months? Nothing was happening in the state. There was no going forward or going back. But now probably there's a chance to just have some sense of normalcy in governance. Is that something that you feel is the case?
I agree totally with you, Kofi, but then we have to understand that there are certain things you don't compromise in the pursuit of peace. Within the ambit of this particular imbroglio, we must ensure that constitutional provisions are not abrogated or overturned unnecessarily because everybody wants peace. We must respect the sacredness of the Constitution. So the areas that the Constitution has already defined must be kept intact. No, if there's a peace that's going on, unfortunately our system is yet to develop to understand that in this type of situation you cannot have a wholesome peace process without involving the people, without maybe something like a referendum or a plebiscite to know the pulse of the population. So whatever they are doing, I think constitutional provisions and the provisions of law on outstanding must be respected. That's the point.
All right. Oh, interesting. For those listening, please call the number 0201277093. We're not talking about River State today. We're talking about the constitution review process. Are you aware of the process ongoing to reform Nigeria's constitution or amend Nigeria's constitution? Are you aware of the bills before the National Assembly? The process of public hearings by both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Please feel free to call the numbers usually advertised. Like I said, 0201-277-0993. And female listeners can call the number, call the special line, 0201-465-7190. 0201-465-7190. And then we have a special line. That's what I just called. But we have a WhatsApp number, 08095-975805. 08095-975805. Now, at the heart of the National Assembly's agenda, this constitution review kicked off in early 2024. We had the deadline to conclude the process is December 2025. So they called for memoranda. And these memoranda, of course, some of them have been sent already to the National Assembly. But at the heart of this agenda is reforms that could reshape policing, governance, gender equality, judicial independence, state creation, local government autonomy, and all that. Last week, the Senate announced a comprehensive two-day zonal public hearing on the proposed amendments to the 1999 Constitution to be held simultaneously across the country's 6 geopolitical zones. So for the Senate, their own public hearings will take place July 4 and 5, 2025. And of course, being organized by the Committee on Constitution Review of the Senate, chaired by the Deputy Senate President, Jibril Barau, who some are muting, may be angling for VP-ship, though he says he doesn't know anything about that rumor. Now, also for the House of Representatives, for the Senate, the hearings will be held for the Southwest in Lagos. So those of you in Lagos, you have a chance to attend. Southwest in Lagos, Southeast Enugu, South Ikot-Ekpene, North Central Jos, Northeast Maiduguri, and Northwest Kano. All right, so that is what we hear. Also for the National House of Representatives, they also issued a call for memoranda last year, March 2024. And they asked Nigerians to submit proposals for further amendments to the Constitution. So they have these areas of Nigeria Police, Nigeria Security Architecture, Public Revenue, Fiscal Federation and Revenue Allocation, Judicial Reforms, Electoral Reforms, Traditional Institutions, Gender-related Issues, Process of State Creation, State Access to Mining, and others. All right, so before I bring my guest in, I need to give the date for the House of Reps hearings. All right, I'll bring that later. Sir, sorry for the long intro, just to keep our listeners on.
No, it's all right. Yeah. I'm here.
I was in the last process that was held. I think should have been 2021, and because the South, not the South, but 3 states, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Rivers, was held in Port Harcourt at the Obiwale Conference Center on Stadium Road or Gioake Road, Port Harcourt. So I was disappointed because I thought I would see a full house. Unfortunately, there are more empty seats in that place. You know, it's a huge place, but more empty seats than full seats there. Are you confident Nigerians are really, really involved and invested in this process of zonal hearing, in the process of memoranda submission for constitution review?
Nigerians are really ready and willing to ensure that we have a constitutional framework that will stand the test of time. It's always been a matter of patriotism to get Nigerians around the table to talk and to prefer ideas and solutions to whatever problem we have within the polity. Incidentally, the effects of such conferences and discussions have not been very well felt, particularly in areas of governance, in areas of the frameworks, the structural frameworks. There was a Jonathan confab which brought in a lot of issues and all that. And serious deliberations were made. Nobody has known how far the document had been implemented. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's been kept in the cooler for that long period of time. What other discussion are we going to have that will be a lot better, much more sophisticated and in-depth than what Jonathan and his people did in that confab? But this one is particularly touching because it encapsulates a whole lot of amendments, areas of review. I think they say there are about 60 of them, so this should ignite the interest of Nigerians to come and make their own contribution. First of all, you want to know, for instance, if you have a very discerning mind like mine, you have a discerning mind like mine, you want to know the background works or the preliminaries that have been done by the members of the National Assembly before putting this forward to the members of the public. Because look at a lot of the items, they require expert opinion in the area of judicial reforms, in the area of local government autonomy, in the area of electoral reforms, the state police, in the area of affirmative action. And we have the universities, they are citadels where professionals are. And it's not just politicians and members of the public deliberating on ideas. I think some of these things should be put to scientific analysis by experts who know a lot. There's a professor friend of mine, Professor Linus Ogwuche, who is a professor of comparative jurisprudence at the Rivers State University of Science and Technology, prestigious faculty anyway, faculty of law. He did extensive work on fuel subsidy, and it's taken for about 12 years. Serious work. If you go into the in-depth of that work, if Tinubu had looked at it prior to his inauguration, he wouldn't have unilaterally withdrawn subsidy in the manner he did. There are better ways of doing things. But now we replicate that to the normal course of legislation. And we say that a lot of the members of the National Assembly are not of their own experts. Members of the public are not of their own experts. It is not very easy to get experts to discuss on these things at public hearings, except you consult them. And we have the universities, we have the citadels of learning, where these professors and experts are people who have done years and years and years of research. I think anything worth doing is worth doing well. So somebody like me will be very reluctant to go and talk, for instance, about electoral reforms, because there are people who have done series of research on electoral reforms. There are people who have torn the Mohammed Ways Commission report into pieces and analyzed it and done every groundwork that's necessary to get people to understand the intricacies of those recommendations, how they could affect our electoral system, how they can improve on the electoral system. There's also the Mani report and all that is there, lying tomatoes on the table. You first of all put it that way. It's not just going to be a deliberation or a discussion or a conversation between members of the National Assembly and members of the public. There should be serious expert intervention in some of these core areas.
But Barrister, that's why they had, a call for submission of memoranda. All the way from last year, we just, read that the House of Representatives started, I think, March 2024. In fact, the entire 10th National Assembly started March 2024 asking for memoranda. They issued a call for memoranda. So these experts, and they had various thematic areas. They were asking for not just memoranda, but proposals for further amendment to the Constitution on a variety of thematic areas. The areas you've talked about, Nigeria Police, all these areas, I don't want to go into them. So why aren't these experts, including the Honorable Prof that you talked about from the River State University, Nkolo Oroko, engaging with the National Assembly? They can hop on the plane.
You will not expect an expert who has grown to that level. Professor Linus Ogwuche is a well-known professor of constitutional law and comparative jurisprudence. Somebody who has grown to that height. There are lots of them there at the prestigious Faculty of Law, River State University at Oroko, as you mentioned. You won't expect them to go cap in hand, going to the National Assembly and begging them say, please come and take my ideas.
No.
Experts are
No, but-
consulted. If
no,
you recall.
Yeah, but sir, barrister, I'm sorry to butt in here, but I mean, the public hearings are open to the public, especially eminent persons like the professor. Should I call him the professor? He can hop on the plane, go to the National Assembly,
It's not done like that. Kofi.
register,
If you
and
recall, the
attend.
1963 Republican Constitution was framed by, if you look at it, it has serious intellectual content. And it's almost a perfect document. It was crafted by scholars from the London School of Economics and Oxford and Cambridge, put together. It is you that want their services, that you go to them. How much of that is being done? In the military days, if you recall, Kofi, the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs played a very prominent role in shaping the international policy, of Nigeria, defining a whole lot of things about it. Professor Bolaji Akiyemi was there. Non-alignment, Africa is the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy, and all those issues that were so perfect even in the military era. And it's simply because those institutions are consulted. How much of that consultation was made with some of these people? You wouldn't expect the average professor who has taken his time to do massive research and all that to just sit because somebody has invited them to come and present a memoranda. It's not done like that. These are professionals. These are experts. That's the appropriate way to go about it. They have clerks at the National Assembly. You can reach out to them and please plead on them. Please bring these proposals, get this together. Put these into perspective so that we can see the extent to which these public speakers, people who are invited to talk, with their proposals or their recommendations will work in tandem with our motive or intention of getting a proper constitution for the people of Nigeria.
All right.
Don't expect them to go cap in hand begging.
No, not begging, but they can reach out.
They should be consulting centers.
Okay, all right. So I mean, the prof, yourself, and myself, others can't say, let me reach out to Kingsley Chinda, who's a House of Reps member for Obiapo. Oh, sir, I have a report, a research I've done. Take a look at it, and I want to submit this because we're talking about Nigeria here and the future of the country.
Has there been instances where scholars have taken that action in that way? They have a tradition, it's a culture. And they are reserved human beings, and they see a lot of things going on. For the fact that they are even neglected tells a whole lot of story about the level of their patriotism. But even then, in most democracies and systems, it's not the citadels, it's not the universities or the institutional. They only consult them for electoral rigging. That's all.
So, are you saying therefore maybe Nigerians are not in these zonal public hearings that will be held? Nigerians are not well informed, who are not maybe experts, in certain fields, well informed to make far-reaching contributions to this process.
No, they are. After all, they are the ones that will be directly affected by whatever recommendation or amendments or reviews made. Nigerians are very willing. Like I said from the start, Nigerians are very willing and ready to participate in any process you're thinking of. But we are looking at it from the point of view of depth, of scholarship, of expertise. And by the way, the Nigerians, if you talk about being well informed, if not for this interview, for instance, I was not aware up till last night that there was something like that going on.
Okay.
It's not that one expects me to be glued to my television set, but at least there's some shade of level of information that can pass around via the National Orientation Agency that will go beyond the regular radio jingles and television news discussions that we see.
Okay.
And it requires a great deal of sensitization and monitoring to ensure that everybody participates. Okay,
so when we come back from our break, I would like to find out from you, and also through the lines open, if these public hearings will be enough, to have any, because for the Senate, we're hearing 4th and 5th of July. They will hold simultaneously across all the centers. So 3 states will share one center. So for instance, those in River State and Akwa Ibom State and Cross will have to go to Calabar. You know what I'm so is this a workable plan? While the House of Reps, they're going to take July 11 to July 13. 3 days, 11, 12, 13 for the northern part of the country, and then July 18 to July 20, another 3 days for the southern part of the country. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
My name is Joe, and I have pistantrophobia. Pista for short. Basically, the fear of trusting people. For someone like me, it is really hard to choose an insurance partner. Then my girl told me, you better switch to Hares Insurance. I reluctantly gave it a try. And guess what? I have been on a roll. To buy an insurance plan, I just dial *1100# for fast insurance. If I want to file a claim, I just use the Simple Life mobile app, and I get paid within 24 hours. And that's not even the best part. I get discounts from hotels, spas, and other jollification places through their rewards program. So yes, I switched to Hares Insurance Group, and this my pista. The fear of trusting people is getting better.
What are you waiting for? Visit www.hairsinsurancegroup.com. That is HEIRS, or dial *1100# to get fast insurance today.
Every day is about winning with one play on Nigeria Info. On Nigeria Info, daily winnings is now over 150,000 naira. Just go to oneplay.ng or dial *347 *880 *3#. Play with as little as 500 naira, and in a few seconds, your ticket is in the draw. The more you play, the better your chances of winning every day on the Morning Crossfire, WhatsApp Lagos, and Game On shows on weekdays, and the Football Frenzy shows on weekends. But that's not all. Every Friday, there will be a 500,000 naira jackpot. Playing during the week automatically qualifies you for the weekly jackpot. Your chances of winning are the same whether you play on oneplay.ng or dial *347 *880 *3#. Remember to play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under the age of 18. OnePlay is a registered trademark under Lasho Trading Services Limited, licensed by the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Commission.
With Orabi, my teeth strong, my mouth is fresh. It clean well, oh, now Oral-B. Strong teeth, Oral-B. Fresh breath, Oral-B. 24/7 with Oral-B. Strong teeth, Oral-B.
Give on our teeth 24 hours protection. Use Oral-B today. The Nigerian Dental Association. Tanda Gidigba with Oral-B.
In today's housing update, real stories from Nigerians benefiting from the ARM Managed Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund, MREIF, also known as MREF, a private sector-led initiative launched by the federal government.
Hello, my name is Mr. Obiora. Thanks to the MREF program, I just bought my first house in Enugu. I paid my 20% upfront, and MREF paid the balance.
That's right. MREF is here to make owning a house a reality for more Nigerians, offering affordable mortgages of up to 20 years at a fixed interest rate of just 12% per annum. MREF is open to all Nigerians, and you too could move into your own house. For more information, visit any of the participating banks listed on the MREF website or apply at www.mreif.com.ng.
This message is brought to you by ARM Investment Managers, fund manager for MREF.
Hey, Chioma, you don't try, oh. See as my kitchen clean.
Mama.
But you no use hypo.
Hypo kwa?
Yes, so germs dey para. No gree. Protect your kitchen every day with hypo.
Let me tell you about Ada, the queen of Abeg or not spot for me. At home.
Abeg when I'm small.
At work.
You feel share your hotspots. It's urgent.
Her friends even named her on hotspot for me. But Ada don't upgrade. She got the Airtel Wi-Fi for just 12,500 naira, down from 15,000 naira, with 30 gigabyte data valid for 30 days. Hurry, offer ends 30 June. Visit eshop.airtel.com.ng or any Airtel shop. T&C apply. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Charlatan Quality Anti-Malaria contains Artemisa and lumefantrine, available in cherry-flavored dispersible tablets with very convenient dosing for kids. Charlatan is also available in tablets for adults. Knock out malaria in 3 days with Charlatan. Shalina Healthcare. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor.
Charlatan is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
I don't know, man. These days, all you hear is save, invest, save, Wait, how do you guys find this money? Is it not someone that is settled that will have money to save and invest? And even if I manage to invest or save, the interest rates are so low. And one can lose money in all these crypto, NFT, blockchain, and so on.
Introducing Fund 724. It's a simple solution to all your money goals. With as low as 1,000 naira or that urgent 2k in your pocket, you can start saving with Fund 724 and earn solid returns on your investment. And you can withdraw your money from your account for free. Anytime you like, just dial 724 hash on your mobile phone and follow the prompts.
Oh, so no need to download an app or join a long queue, huh?
Dial star 724 hash now to get started. Fund 724 is available 24/7. Guarantee Trust Fund Managers is a subsidiary of Guarantee Trust Holding Company PLC and regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, welcome back. Still the Morning Crossfire right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Look at Nigeria's constitution review process ongoing, and of course the zonal public hearing set to hold in a matter of days. July 4 and 5th, the Senate Committee on Constitution Review, they have their own committee chaired by the Deputy Senate President, will hold across the country July 4 and 5. That's how the Senate has divided its own. So they'll hold simultaneously. In Lagos, will host the Southwest. Enugu will host that of the Southeast. Ikot-Ekpene will host that of the South-South. Jos will host that of the North Central. Maiduguri will host that of the Northeast. And Kano will host that of the Northwest. A statement was put out some days ago by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Deputy Senate President, Jibrin Barau, who himself is the chairman of the Senate's Constitution Review Committee. And they revealed that committee would entertain over 50 proposals addressing a wide range of concerns. As of last year, they had received hundreds of proposals regarding different issues, local government autonomy, gender issues, representation, for instance, in the legislature, state policing, judicial reforms, and all that. Creation of new states is also very important. How about the House of Representatives? They will hold their zonal public hearings from July 11 to July 13 for the northern geopolitical zone of the country. We want to call it that, northern geopolitical zones. And Benjamin Kalu, right? Should I say right, Honorable? Representative Benjamin Kalu is the Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps. He's the chairman of the House Committee on Constitutional Review. He's been really championing this for some time. And so that of the North Central, which is part of northern, parts of the country, we're talking Kogi State, Kwara State, and Niger States will converge in Mina. While Nasarawa will converge, that's Nasarawa, Plateau State, Benue State, and FCT will converge in Lafia. So they're not grouping 6 states together; they're dividing them. All right. So Kogi, Kwara, and Niger States will converge in Mina, Niger State. Nasarawa, Plateau, and Benue States, as well as the FCT, will converge in Lafia, Nasarawa State. In the northwest, you have Kaduna, Jigawa, and Kano, as well as Katsina, converging in Kaduna, while Sokoto will host Sokoto, Zamfara, and Kebbi states. Northeast, Gombe will host Bauchi and Taraba states. All right, so it'll be Gombe, Bauchi, and Taraba states. Whilst Maiduguri will cater to Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. So that's going to be from July 11 to July 13. That's a Friday to a Sunday. Then from July 18, which is Friday, to Sunday, July 20, that'll be for the southern parts of the country. So you have Bayelsa, Edo, and Delta states meeting in Yenagoa. Cross River, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom states meeting in Calabar. The southeast will have Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu states gathering in Enugu, while Imo and Abia states will meet in Owerri. Southwest, Lagos will host stakeholders from Lagos, Ogun, and Oyo states, while Akure will serve as the hub for Ondo, Osun, and Ekiti states. So that's how the House of Reps is doing its own. Our guest is still with us. Our guest is still on the line, and of course, he joins us live from the recently peaceful city. I think it's always been peaceful, but probably be more peaceful with this peace pact. Chief Festus Ogwuche is a lawyer and constitution expert. He's also a human rights advocate. He's a.
We always have a way of expressing this beautiful manner. River State has always been very peaceful.
It's always peaceful. Yes. Please come closer to your phone, sir. So Chief Ogwuche is a chief. He's a capped chief. Yes, indeed. And also is a lawyer, human rights advocate, broadcaster. You can hear from his voice. Head of Crown Field Solicitors with extensive experience in public law, governance, media freedoms, also international law, because he prosecutes cases in international courts. His practice spans constitutional advocacy, electoral and policy reform, and defense of media rights, often shining a spotlight on democratic norms and government accountability. Chief Ogwuche has initiated high-profile suits like that on electoral law, governance, and human rights. Notably, he represented Crown Field Solicitors in ECOWAS proceedings that reinforced press liberties. He also represented me when I sued the federal government. Chief, good to have you here with us.
Thank you very much, Kofi. Yes. Thanks for that elaborate description of my personality and personality.
Yes, you're welcome. Yes, you deserve it. So, sir, are you confident that these days, 2 days for the reps, and then, of course, we have 3 days each for the North and South for the reps, and then 2 days for the House for the Senate. Are you confident? And then looking at the way they've shared it amongst the states. So if I'm from River State and I want to submit a proposal, I want to comment or have a say, I have to pick a bus to go to Calabar. So do you think this will hamper the constitution review process and disenfranchise Nigerians to an extent?
That's a very good question, Kofi. First of all, I'll apologize on behalf of my dogs. I have fierce dogs here.
I had bingo at the back there.
You'll be able to tolerate them throughout the program. I got to somebody to teach them. First of all, I have a quarrel with the fact that these things are zoned. If you're talking about stakeholders from Lagos, stakeholders from the Southwest and South-South, at the end, the definition of what stakeholdership will be within the context of our Nigerian environment will also mean that it is only people from those areas, so our origins of those areas, that can make inputs. And probably if you are from somewhere else and you find your way on the platform to make whatever contribution you think is necessary, you're expected to conform with the environment where you're located. Why didn't they do it a pan-Nigerian thing? If it has to do with the Nigerian constitution, and that's why I talked about this citadel consulting the experts and all that. What is important is not even the concentration or the volume of ideas that's put forth by members of the public, but the efficacy of such ideas. That's the most important thing, because from past experience, we've seen that 99.9% of most of those talks, most of those proposals that are put forward are not even considered at the end. And you also raised a very good issue about these zone things and whether it will instill or instigate some bit of activity by the people positively to the effect of people coming to make presentation. And I'm just beginning to imagine how maybe a Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, having put in all his works in the area of international relations, will come to give his own opinion or view on diaspora voting, of which he's expert in. He has to dust up his bag and go to whichever venue it is and try to find his way to make a presentation to people who may not very well accept or or consider his proposal or put into consideration the effort he had put through in doing that work and what have you. It should have been a pan-Nigerian thing, a public invitation to specific groups and maybe to a larger group of the citizens, people who are interested and who they think should have something to offer. And there are better ways of doing this.
Like a national conference, maybe?
Without invoking sensitive ethnic dimensional issues.
So are you looking at maybe a constitutional assembly of sorts, a constitutional review conference?
Like that. That's the way to go about it. If you go to the Southwest, they'll be making their own issue. They'll be raising their own points on the basis of their sentiment. Same thing with the South. I'm sure the whole of the South will concentrate on fiscal federalism. The Southeast, the Northwest, the North, it's a constituent assembly, an assemblage of people with the right knowledge, not necessarily expertise, but people that have a very good undercurrents of the constitutional mechanism and how it should work perfectly to suit our own. Look at the number of days for each of these centers as though they are rushing themselves into nowhere. There are better ways of putting these things together, not in this roughshod manner that tends to relegate important discussions, important conversation on the subject matter.
Chief, permit me to put a first listener on the program on this discussion right here. 99.3, good morning.
Good morning, Kofi Bartels.
Yes, name, location, and contribution, please.
This is Pastor Ladipo calling from Orile in Sarigon.
Okay.
Kofi, I want to say I support your guest 100%. I will give you reason. Now, if you are talking about something as sensitive as constitutional review, and look at the way you are zoning it, and you don't understand that people will bring in their own sentiment with the way you are going about it. Kofi, let me ask you a question at this point. This your radio station, do they have a guideline? Do they have an ethics they work with? If those in charge of those ethics and regulations are not keeping to it, if they are not managing those things very well, will you say it's because the rules and regulations that they place is not good enough? The problem we even have mostly are the operators of these constitutions. They are the major problem. If you do this constitutional review now, those who doesn't obey laws, those who are bigger than institutions, they will still not obey it.
Okay, thank you.
So that is the reality.
Thank you very much, Pastor Ladipo. Thank you. Appreciate your time. Okay.
I barely heard it, but he said something that is of interest. What exactly did he say?
Okay, I'll come to that in a jiffy, sir. Just stay with me, please. 99.3, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kofi Bartels.
Welcome. Name, location, and contribution, please.
All right, my name is Emmanuel. I'm calling you from Iju.
Welcome.
What I have to say about it is that the National Assembly of this dispensation is just going the same way the years before it went, distracting themselves from the real issues, as if it is constitutional amendment that we need right now. We have not even obeyed the Constitution, let alone begin to amend it. What have they found in the Constitution that is lacking? All of the things that have been identified as a problem of democracy in Nigeria are still in the Constitution, but they're still amending. Okay, and I can assure you that nobody's going to talk about the idea of the president appointing everybody, even including umpires in a game where he's the candidate. Okay, nobody's going to talk about it, and you will see now that they are going to use constitutional amendment to distract themselves so much that when you tell them to amend the Electoral Act, put in those necessary amendments. The IRF, the automatic transmission of votes from the polling unit to the IRF portal needs to be a matter of law. You see they will not touch up. They will not touch.
But is that why people like yourself, myself, our guests, should send memoranda on issues like this and push for it?
Well, Kofi, if except you want to pretend, I want to assure you that even if 10 million Nigerians send this memorandum, they will find a way to hide it. They will not mention it.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yes. I know the people in power now.
But have you tested the system to try to see?
I am going to do it. I am going to do it, and I'll be back to report to you that they will never even countenance it.
All right.
This National Assembly will not countenance.
What's your name?
What is important?
What's your name?
My name is Emmanuel.
All right.
Emmanuel Onua. That's my name.
I'll be expecting your feedback. Chief, you heard Emmanuel. The previous caller's point was to agree with you on the zoning and the time allotted for this process. But this last caller is saying that he doesn't believe the process will yield any result and that there are important issues to be looked at. For instance, issues to do with election and INEC and ensuring that the IREV and the BVAS are all put into the constitution to ensure that they must be used. Remembering what the Supreme Court said in the election petition tribunal appeals. But I told him, has he engaged the process? Has he submitted a proposal or a memorandum? He says he doesn't believe that anything will come up. I said, well, how will he know if he's not engaged the process? And he says he'll go to. But this thing has been on since last year, since March 2024, sir.
The thing is that I would like to approach an initiative of this nature with optimism. Optimism because we are looking at our country, the future of our country. But then you will not throw his comments overboard because he has made some factual statements that if you place it against the backdrop of the practical reality that we meet with every day in our political process, in our political journey, you discover that it's not something you treat with a wave of the hand. First of all, expertise, like I used to say, is very important because they are also going to deliberate on independent candidacy. The question of independent candidacy, if they have done proper consultation, have been taken care of by the African Court of Human and People's Rights. In the case of Reverend Mtilika against the Republic of Tanzania, it says by interpreting Article 13 of the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, says that you cannot compel somebody to join an association, to join a political party before he can contest or express his rights to participate in the government of his country. That independent candidates are necessary in every political dispensation. And for Africa, going by the provisions of Article 13, you cannot stop anybody. A lot of the constitutions, some of the constitutions of the component members of the African Union have been amended to reflect this reality, the judgment of that court. And Nigeria has subscribed to the jurisdiction of the court, and so its jurisprudence should apply.
Okay.
And if it is to apply, then it means that you don't need any constitutional amendment to bring in independent candidates to contest, because Nigeria is bound by its international obligations of respecting the decisions of the African Court of Human Rights, Human and People's Rights.
Okay.
That's in the case of Reverend, for lawyers who are listening, Reverend Mtilika against the Republic of Tanzania.
But sir,
the caller also raised a very private issue.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay, that being said, you're saying that, well, given the Nigerian situation, people need to try to also see the other side of this process and give the benefit of the doubt by engaging it to see, okay, these are the reforms I want.
You don't need a private individual to engage before Nigeria knows what its international obligations are. And the Ministry of Justice, they have this decision of the African Court of Human and People's Rights, which I just cited, Reverend Mtilika against the Republic of Tanzania, that says you cannot stop anybody from contesting an election simply because he did not join a political party. That's one aspect of it. But if you look at your last caller, he raised some prime issues. Because you begin to wonder the level of enthusiasm Nigerians will have when they know that the particular constitutional document that so much noise is being made about it, amendment and review, is not being respected by those in authority. That in the bare-face reality of a president removing an elected governor and replacing with a military administrator.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, all these, for instance, some would argue that they are sentimental views. The caller said what you said about, the international, law and all that. That we know in reality that there are several laws and conventions that are out there that the Nigerian constitution does not cover, or does not say, or does not accept. And you can you enforce this in the Nigerian court? They'll say it's not in our constitution.
Why not?
So should a court?
It's a national obligation. International law supersedes domestic law. Every other country, every other civilized democracy follows international law very religiously, except that maybe sometimes they may go out of their way to do what they want, like Trump invading Iran without due process.
But will it not be because there's something you lawyers call is and ought? Will it not be wiser to say, well, this ought to be, but this is the situation on the ground, and if we don't go ahead to engage in the process and sit back and say, oh, there was a court case in Tanzania.
For instance, are you engaging with legislators who want an amendment of the Constitution in the face of the current attitude of disobedience to constitutional provisions? That's the bottom line. We must have treated the Constitution as a sacred document.
So, sir, are you saying that Nigerians should not participate in this process? I don't know who is going to go and sit to INEC. Look at a court judgment from Tanzania.
They should look inwards and abide by the provisions of the Constitution, respect its values, respect the boundaries of the Constitution. Then we treat it like a document that imbued with sacrosanctity, that every other thing will follow. People can sacrifice their lives to travel all the way from Port Harcourt here to Calabar to make presentation. If they are sure that their words, their presentation will be given every consideration, and at the end of the day, if they crop up to become provisions in the Constitution, then it should be respected.
But so how will you
look at their proposal on judicial reform, for instance? What do they say? You know, to set timelines for delivering judgments and expand jurisdiction on the election tribunal.
Yes.
Is that the only issue of judicial reform that is very prime?
Okay.
Very important at this stage?
But the question will remain: how many? The question remains: how many people went forward to, like yourself, to submit proposals or memoranda to say these are the reforms we need in the judiciary? How many people engaged the process? You know, because now it's too easy to say, oh, this one is not there. But if you had maybe submitted your own proposal, probably it will be there, sir.
The thing is that there must be some bit of how do I put it now? Inspiration.
Okay.
Not necessarily coming from the fact that one is a Nigerian citizen, but from the authorities to show good faith, to show that they are ready and abiding and willing to respect the provisions of the Constitution. That the democratic system is just one man will not just wake up in the morning and throw out the whole state democratic structure and say it in the name of declaration of state of emergency. And some lawyers and those of them that are senior advocates of Nigeria will be supportive of that because of certain issues that are the underpinnings that go beyond the ordinary realm of constitutional interpretation.
Okay. All right,
I would rather say that, first of all, we look inwards, compel ourselves to respecting the provision. It was the same National Assembly that gave blanket approval to what happened in Rivers State. It is the same judiciary, the Supreme Court, that gave judgment that gave rise to this type of anomaly. And we are talking about the constitutional process. Why don't we put our houses in order, particularly with regards to the provisions of the Constitution, before we begin to push forward for amendment, push forward for review? How are you sure what they are reviewing is going to be efficacious at the end of the day? How do you think, to what extent will you say that it will be effective and it will be factual, that these constitutional processes, I call them circles, I call them jamborees. Some couple of months ago, it was all about state aspiration. People were drumming, beating drums all over the place and doing this and that. I think enough of that frivolity.
All right.
We should be very factual and serious with whatever I want to do.
Okay.
If it's a very good distraction mechanism. At least to
you call it a distraction. Chief Ogwuche, we have to. I think, like you've said, the government should not, only just sit down and wait for Nigerians. It can also come up, even the legislature, with some ideas to, to better things in the judiciary and the police and all that. But today we've been able to look at, because of time, the participation of the people, which is very important in this process, and also the conduct of the legislature as they are going through this process, how they've planned it, and what they can do better. We've not been able to delve into state creation or the nitty-gritty. There's a lot, and I don't think we have time to do that. 31 states proposed more than 50 to 60 recommendations that are being considered out of hundreds that were given, and maybe you need to take them sector by sector, in the coming days. But
you won't have time for that because,
yes. So I want to thank you, sir, for your time. It's already yes, and we'll look at it, in depthly as the days.
But I want to ask you a question, Kofi.
Yeah, we're out of time. Very briefly in a sentence, please.
Okay, is it the responsibility of the National Assembly to make law to get the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission to ensure the compliance that remittances obligations are made to the Federation account? That's a necessary. Is that something that should activate the interest of the National Assembly?
Thank you.
Steal the phone.
He done of trading himself. James, hello.
Susan, I beg. Say you the wine meaning.
For where? You who no longer depend solely on your salary.
So you people trade and don't carry us along in this office, Abby?
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99